And so for the final game on this episode, we have Too Many Bones.
The designers are Josh and Adam Carlson. The artist is Josh Carlson and Anthony LeTourneau. And the publisher is Chip Theory Games.
So I'm not going to go over all these rules. There is a ton of rules to this game, but I'm going to give you a general idea, and anything that we want to talk about, maybe we'll expand on the rules just to kind of put our thoughts in a context. Too Many Bones is essentially, I guess, like an adventure game where you're going through a deck of encounter cards to gain what's called progress points. Once you have so many, then you can progress to the final fight, which is the boss that you picked at the beginning of the game. So the boss is the first thing you're going to pick, or, your characters or whatever. But the boss is going to dictate what type of enemies is going to show up. He has its own special abilities and rules and little storyline on the back or whatever. It also shows you how many days you have to complete it, which kind of dictates the game's length. It is a lengthier game, so keep that in mind. But the game is each player, it's like a dice game, right? Where you're going to have all these different skirmishes for each encounter. So each player has a character, the characters, and we'll talk about the components because I think that's going to be very important. But the player board is basically a neoprene mat with all these cutouts for dice to be in. Each character essentially has around 16 dice that's specific, maybe even about 16 dice per character, because there's like 16 slots to put these dice in. So as you advance, you can pick special ability dice that go in those slots, and they'll give you different powers. Some of them are just counters that will update as you do stuff. Some of them you actually roll when you're doing combat and do other things. You have 4 different stats. You have health, which are poker chips that you're going to put underneath your character's poker chip. You have dexterity, which determines how many dice you get to roll. You have attack and defense. And unlike other games where you roll attack dice and they roll defense dice to counteract your attack dice, this one you choose when it's your turn to activate. You can roll as many dice that you want, or so up to your dexterity rating, but you can choose between your ability dice or your attack dice or your defense dice. And the defense dice kind of act like temporary hit points. It puts little shields on your character poker chip, and those get depleted first when you're hit. So anyway, this encounter deck, you're going to, by the way, each character plays totally different. Each player also comes with a 2-page summary of all their rules, which is basically an 8.5 by 11 sheet of laminated paper that has a massive amount of text. So
it's like plastic paper.
Yeah, everything in this game is basically waterproof. You can play it underwater.
I think they have done so.
Have they really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
We should do it in a pool. Anyway, so you'll flip over the first encounter card. You have a choice. It'll give you a little storyline, and the choice will pretty much be do A or do B. And a lot of times I think this is like do A or take a handicap to gain bonus stuff for B. In most of the case, it's going to be putting your guys out on this 4x4 grid and then moving around and rolling dice and killing the bad guys or whatever. Everything is poker chips in this game. And then if you complete it, you'll get progress points, and you have a chance to kind of attain some experience to gain. You can increase your stats, or you can do some training to possibly increase like your attack dice, defense dice, and maybe even gain your ability dice at that point. You can also gain equipment cards between rounds and stuff. Sometimes I think maybe some of the encounters will give you equipment as well. Then you'll move on to the next encounter card, and you'll just do that over and over until you have enough progress points to flip over the bad guy or the boss and then do its specific encounter. And then if you beat that, you win the game. Otherwise, you lose. So I think that's enough to kind of put everybody on the right play or mindset of the game. Plus, there's probably a billion videos about this already. So you probably fast forward through it, and that's fine. But let's talk about Too Many Bones.
Yeah.
Start you, Eric.
Oh, yeah, okay. I guess the first thing we can talk about is component-wise.
Yeah, let's talk about
Components are pretty top-notch. It might be overproduced in a way. Like you said, your player board is made out of this this mat, so kind of like a mouse pad. It has the cutouts, which is really nice. All the chips that come with the game as well. So there is a lot of thought in the components that they use in the game. They might have overshot with what is needed It doesn't need all this stuff, but it is nice to have. The only drawback to that, of course, is the price of it. I think like the base game's like $130, which might be prohibitive for some players.
Yeah, it's definitely an expensive buy-in.
The quality of the components is sort of the signature of chip theory games, and the chips are used in all of their games. They're really very, very nice quality.
Yeah, I really like the poker chips, although it'd be cool to have miniatures stand on top of your stack. I mean,
I don't know if
we're
I
already-
wanted miniatures on top.
we already
of the stack.
produced it this much, man. We might as well put some miniatures on there, paint it, guys.
Now that you have your 3D printer,
Oh, yeah. I'll do it for a game I don't own.
So originally, I didn't really like the artwork or the gear locks. I'm not sure about you guys, but
I'll agree with you there.
But they did kind of grow on me a little bit. I did at least.
They're unattractive.
They are unattractive. I went to a sense of appreciating that it is something different and not just regular like D&D and we're all, orcs or something.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is D&D. It's just specifically halflings and gnomes and
Yeah.
like the little people, which is fine. I just don't typically play those characters. But at the same time, I'm not the type of person who gets immersed in the character I'm playing. Like, I think it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not like, oh, I am this character. I just swung this sword and I get all role playing with it. I was being silly based on the class of character I played.
Right.
So I'm like, I want to kill stuff. Because the guy, each player kind of has or each of the base characters has their play style. They play pretty different from each other.
They do. I've played 3 of them so far, and it is way different. And you do need, you have a double-sided player sheet that kind of outlines what all your dice do, kind of even gives you helpful summaries or tips on what you should go for first to help you out, as a first-time player.
I think that while cool, it is a lot.
It is a lot.
And I play war games that have, 90-page rule books. I still thought like, wow.
Yeah.
For a board game, it is quite a bit of information to be able, you really want to play the same character multiple times.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that too. I think it does benefit from multiple plays, and there's a lot of people that might want to next game I want to try out another character, but in this game it might be better to maybe stick with the same character because the first time you're kind of learning how that character, the best way to play it, which dice help you the most, and or plus how you want to play those dice.
Like the play style too, because if you don't like playing a character who gets in the fray and just rolls a bunch of attacks, and you want to kind of do something cooler, then you might not have fun with this game playing like the warrior character.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. They all play very differently, which is a big plus.
Yeah. What was your favorite character so far?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of like Tantrum.
Oh, the warrior?
Yeah.
I thought like the character that throws grenades seemed really cool.
Boomer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't too bad. You did a little bit more planning. You had to get the resources in order to lob those grenades.
Right.
Yeah. I had a better time with the medic.
I did like the medic as well.
You're not going to tell me his name?
I don't remember it.
Was it Pickett?
Pickett.
Pickett.
No,
yeah.
I meant. Is Pickett the tank?
No.
I have pictures. I have pictures. Hang on.
I think I was Pickett. But
this is what we should do live on the podcast.
Was
like Tim, I don't really,
immerse yourself.
Think of myself as a
that's the tank.
You're
right.
Yeah,
that is the tank.
I wasn't Pickett.
You were Patches.
Patches.
It started with a P as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't really associate with the character that much because the art doesn't draw me in. I'm I don't know, anti-Gearlock.
Does this game have a campaign mode?
But having said that, it does, yeah.
It does?
Yeah. There's other expansions and things, so there's a lot to it. I'd like to say that the rest of the art of the game I really liked.
Do you even like the art on the item cards?
The art on the cards, it's fine.
They were kind of simplistic.
It's like sketches.
That was more of
right.
a sketch. That was just the idea of it. But like the art on the chips themselves with the monsters, that I really liked. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah.
It's just the particular design of the gearlocks I just don't care for.
Mhm.
But the art is quite good. It's just not the sort of
The
I don't
style
know,
that you like. To
Muppety
see.
kind of character that I like.
It is very Muppets with comedy. That's like
Yeah.
the theme of the board game.
They're
Yeah.
kind of goofy looking.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess in a game like that, where there's goofiness to it, I want it to be more charming than just kind of odd and off-putting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of Dark Crystal for me. Like those characters in Dark Crystal also, I feel the same way.
They're weird.
They're weird
So
looking.
if you like Dark Crystal, check this game out.
Yeah.
What did you think about the encounters? Like as far as the choices that are made, like you can do this or you can do that.
I like that. There were definitely a variety of cards. Some of the cards you just had a straight choice and something would happen that wasn't related to combat at all. And there were other cards where you had to go into, more detailed combat if you made one choice or the other. So there were times where you could play through the game and not have to do a lot of combats, and that would make the game shorter. And there were other times that, the game is really going to go for a long period of time when you do combat after combat after combat. It's definitely just a skirmish game with the characters that you have that you're leveling up as you go.
Which I think the base game box says 60 to 90 or 60 to maybe 120. But
Yeah.
Lies.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
no.
3
3
hours.
hours.
3 hours
Yeah.
plus.
3 hours for
Yeah.
sure. Even more if you choose one of the bosses that has like a 12-day time period.
Yeah.
One thing, that you might want to mention, George, if you didn't think about it, is maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you would have liked it if the choices were hidden with the outcomes.
Yes, I always like that. I always prefer to just read what the choice is.
And just
You don't know what's going to happen, then you just make the choice.
Exactly.
instead of knowing.
And then you get the consequence because you
Right.
don't know the consequences all the time, for other things.
Yeah, it's like, do you want us to help you? And like, okay. And it's like, now we stab you in the back.
Right. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have trusted that person, but I didn't know that at the time.
right.
But if you just read the whole card and you know exactly what all the consequences are, that's just not the way I prefer to play these games. But that's easily house ruled.
Mhm.
Yeah. Although I don't think the choices are as deep as other games here. It's really just, I think a lot of times it's,
Do you
if
want
it's
help?
like do
And-
you want
and
help
you
or
get
not
a little
help?
less benefit.
Exactly.
I play Dead of Winter the same way, Robinson Crusoe, This War of Mine, all these games. If there's a choice, I'd rather not know the outcome until I make my choice.
Of course, in Dead of Winter, it actually states not to do that because the person to your left always reads the card for you. So, but I mean, in this game, it's fully co-op. So I don't know who you're going to have to read it.
Mhm.
Maybe it could be an app.
Yeah.
It could be an
Ooh.
app.
There you go.
Yeah. And
There we go.
a really, really overproduced app.
Now, obviously, for people who are watching this because you're super fans of the game, don't kill us. We have not played any of the plethora of expansion content that is out there. So some of what we're talking about could be fixed. Some of it could be already not a thing, but we are only playing the base game, and we've only played the base game.
From what I've heard, the expansions are excellent.
I heard Undertow is really, really good.
They add more of everything, which is what you like in an expansion.
Well,
Yes.
Undertale, you can buy it. It's a lower
Standalone.
price point. Obviously, it has 2 new characters that you can add to the base game,
Which is
or
awesome.
you can stand alone it, but it's only for 2 players.
Oh, I see. Okay. Which isn't bad. I mean,
No.
or you could just solo it with those 2 characters as well.
Right.
Having more characters is great because the characters play so differently.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite things. I think that man, the combat is it's a skirmish level combat where you're basically just moving around on a very small grid
Mhm.
and fighting, but I thought there was a decent amount of tactical decisions.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was a lot.
No,
or
yeah.
very,
Most
very
of, I
deep.
don't think any time it mattered really where you were placed. You just wanted to be next to it or
Well,
not be next to them.
It did in some cases because
It
the
matters.
bad guys might not be able to move to get to you, so you want to position yourself to be like out of the range.
Out of the range. Right.
Yeah, as long
as-
Other
Turn order.
movement.
Turn order matters. I love the way that's done.
I did forget about the initiative. Yeah, so when the skirmish begins, each person rolls like their initiative die, and the bad guys have initiative dice as well, and it goes in like this like line, a column, and then you just go down the column and resolve it. It's a very game. It's like kind of reminds me of the Final Fantasy Tactics games or games like that on the phone and apps and PlayStation Portable and stuff, going old school there. But where there's like an initiative and you see all the people's faces, and then it's like, okay, that guy's going to go 3 turns from now. So I'm okay to get in this spot because even though I'm low on health, I can go kill this thing. And then 2 of our players are going to go before that character so they can go and wipe that character out. So it's a gamble, but it can work out. So I really like the initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And we've said that it's overproduced. We're saying that it's expensive because of the quality of the components, and that's true. But at the same time, the way that they work with the chips and having your monster chip on top of the particular type of monster it is, and then a chip for that, and then all of that on top of a column of chips for your hit points, that works so much better than having a skirmish game with let's say a 3D miniature, and then you put like little, I don't know, tiles or something at its base to show how many hit points of damage you've done to it, or or put it on its card or whatever. It's just, it's so easily grasped and visual that it just is heads and shoulders above so many of those other games.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. And on top of that, even though it is a massive quality or price for the quality or blah, you get a lot of stuff for what you pay, but at the same time, you also get the gameplay to back it up. If you even drop it down like, after you play the game a couple of times and you average it out about 2 hours of play, there's at least, I think, like eight or nine bosses. So you're looking at 20 hours of gameplay easily.
Oh yeah.
Before you experience everything, and that's awesome.
Right. And you could go back and do the same bosses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And especially if you play the game with like 2 or 3 players, fighting, like going through the same boss with different characters. We just happen to play it every time with 4. Is that right?
I've also played with 3.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you find in a 3-player game not having one of the classes?
I thought it plays just fine. Not all the people that you bring in have their different play styles, but they all are warranted and they do well.
What if you don't play with the medic?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you don't necessarily need a medic because you're able to heal between rounds anyway.
I guess you could just pick more defense dice and have more temporary hit points too.
Yeah.
Or you might be playing with a character as the medic who doesn't take medical kinds of dice because you're not locked into one sort of character.
Right.
You can choose
even doing the medic
various
might
paths.
Not.
It could be a medic who likes to go around poisoning people and zapping them with, defibrillators or whatever it is.
Defibrillators.
I don't know.
Well,
whatever his abilities were called.
Another point I'll make too is
he needs to have poison syringes instead of like.
That's
he
what
does.
Does he really? Oh, I didn't play him, so there you go. There you go. Oh yeah, you did. You poisoned everything.
Right.
I was playing this game, although I will say that last time we played was like 3 in the morning.
It ended at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
It was getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't fall asleep during games, but I was like, no, this is not a referendum on the game.
No,
man, I was
us.
so tired. But I was having so much fun that I was not willing to say, let's just be done. Because, look, I'll be honest with you. I went into this game thinking, like a lot of people, overproduced game. I'm sure it's going to be okay, but I'll play it once and whatever. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to playing this more.
Yeah,
because, man, it is... It's deep, but it's not like massive deep. It's not like
There is definitely a learning curve, and of course, every time you play a new character, you get a new learning curve because this character is going to play a lot differently from another character.
But what's interesting is that's like the learning curve. If you take away the character and all their specific ability dice, right?
You can teach the rest of the game.
You can teach the rest of the game in like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it is so fast.
Yep.
So
real quick, so one of the things I also liked about it was, so in a lot of games, RPG type adventure games or whatnot, you might level and you might make incremental gains, where it's like incremental gains, like +1 to a stat or something. And in this case, yeah, you do get like +1 to your dex or something, but that's makes a big difference because that is a whole new dice or another dice for you to attack, or you instead of putting into one of your dice pools or your dice pools, you could add another dice, and that adds a new element to what you can do during your turn.
Although it was frustrating that you can fail to train into your strength stat.
Yeah.
You can fail, but you don't lose it. You have
Yeah,
to.
it just
You have
puts
to go
it
somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. You know,
I guess
there should be some frustrations. What I would say is if I were house ruling it, as I almost always do with everything, what I would want is that you get more dice, you get more opportunities to get your really cool, fun dice, and those dice that you're incrementing just for stats would happen automatically. Like you get one of those, and you get one that is the actual cool, fun dice that you get to add to what you're doing. So the ones that just give you more dice, or the ones that make you attack more, give you a +1 or whatever, those just happen by themselves. And in order to counterbalance that, just bump up all the monsters' hit points.
Well, I think that in the instance that you choose, like, go through the encounter and you choose the harder path, you usually got like 2 training points. So maybe you could put one towards a stat and buy a die.
Yeah.
So maybe we were choosing some weaker encounters sometimes and only getting that 1 training point.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it seems really beneficial to put them into your stats rather than get new dice.
It seems important, but that's just not that's not a fun thing to do. Like,
No, I agree with that.
okay, I'm getting 1 more dexterity.
Yeah.
I thought it actually made a big difference. If you go from rolling 3 dice, rolling 4 dice, that's
Well, it makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
But it's not a
difference.
fun thing to do. Like, you're not seeing, can I poison the monster or not? You're just
Well,
seeing,
That's
can I hit him a little bit harder?
Take like something like Diablo 2, right? Where as you level, you get attribute points to put in your strength and health and mana, but you also get like talent points to put into your talent trees.
Yeah.
So you're getting both. And like,
Yeah.
that's fun. If I was playing Diablo and it's like, you get points for your trait. Okay, 5 health. Move on.
Right.
Like, that's just like a boring
Yeah.
upgrade.
Yeah.
I kind of see what you're saying. I didn't really find that to be a big issue. You could just choose the encounters that give you more training points and then just always try to diversify. But I don't know. It was all right.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that part too much.
I would bump that up a little bit, and I would just make the monsters a little bit stronger to compensate.
Fair enough. Maybe there's encounters in the expansions that are harder, and maybe you start off at a stronger level.
Yeah.
And can circumvent that.
Possible.
So, yeah.
That's a minor complaint, because getting the new dice when you do get it is fantastic. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's one thing else that I want to mention, and it's the whole reason it's called Too Many Bones, is the whole bones mechanic. So
yeah.
a lot of your dice have, the cool abilities and stuff, but some of them have like skull and crossbones, basically, or maybe it's just crossed bones. And those will go onto this bone track that you have, and it could go up to 5. 1, 2, yeah, it goes up to 5. And basically, each rank
6.
of these, maybe it's 6.
Mhm.
One of mine didn't do anything. Each rank of these does something different, and then once you spend it, you spend them all. But like, you can do like a special ability because you have too many bones.
It's like a power up.
Yeah,
Yeah. For failed dice, basically.
for failed
Yes.
dice. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
I thought that was a pretty cool system.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't like super thrilled with my character in that aspect, but I don't know. I like to play a different character instead.
And you can choose dice that are your ability dice that on their faces might have more bones.
Yeah.
So that you're taking that risk of failing to do that cool thing, but also getting more of that power up. So I think it's a really good system.
Yeah. All right. So final thoughts on Too Many Bones.
No, I enjoyed it. Played it a couple times now, and continue to enjoy it and like it better with subsequent plays.
I don't like skirmish games. I do like this one.
That's fair enough. I thought it was pretty good. I went in with lower expectations, thinking I wasn't going to think it was amazing, and I really quite enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to playing more, and especially doing the expansions. And actually, most of the time when I see a game that's overproduced like this, and I say overproduced because the standard quality of board games is not this.
Right.
So I'm not saying it's overproduced in a bad way. It's just the production quality is very high.
Excellent.
And I really do like it in this game. Most time I'm like, that game's expensive for no reason. Like metal
Right.
coins and resin
metal coins?
pre-painted meeples and
I think we were just saying that deluxify the game, though, if you can.
Yeah.
This one qualifies.
Well, one of us did.
I said that.
I don't mind deluxe components, but in most cases, I don't feel like they matter. But in this case, I feel like they were used really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Anything else?
Nope.
Yeah.
We recommend it. That is Too Many Bones.